Because the last time we spoke, Kinsey, the internet had gone into some sort of crazy meltdown. This "where is Kate?" Well, of course, we knew exactly where she was. She was at home in Windsor, recovering from clearly major surgery and being looked after by her family, and getting herself well again. But she has now been photographed. So over here in the UK, we chose not to publish these pictures because we have very different privacy laws to the US. This was an unauthorized paparazzo picture taken in the grounds of Windsor Great Park. It is an open public park, but the princess has a right to privacy. And so for that reason, the British newspapers haven't published it. We chose not to publish those pictures in Vanity Fair, but other US news websites did. I think I'm correct in saying it broke first of all on the TMZ website. Page 6 have subsequently picked it up. It's a pretty grainy image. I think the princess clearly not aware that she's being photographed. She's wearing dark glasses. She's in the passenger seat of an Audi car being driven by her mother, Carol Middleton. Of course, they're being picked over and poured over. But I think probably the most important thing to say about them is, these were not authorized pictures. The princess has asked that her recovery be kept completely private. But I do think off the back of a week where you and I, Kinsey, were discussing all of those crazy internet rumors that were doing the rounds after William pulled out of his godfather's memorial service, and speculation that this might have been about Kate, I think there's probably something quite reassuring for most people that, she's clearly okay. She's well enough to be out in a car being taken for a drive. But, as far as the palace is concerned, these are intrusive pictures. They've not sanctioned them in any way, and you won't be seeing them, as I say, in any UK newspaper.
Well, I'm glad that you said that, because some of the rumors, because they're not stopping, circulating here in the States on social media are that these were staged photos. And I'm like, I can't in my wildest dreams imagine the Princess of Wales picking up the phone and staging a paparazzi shot. I've said it a couple of times this week in regards to Kate, but I feel like the Sussexes and their strategies and their media tactics have warped our expectations when it comes to real working royals. The Princess of Wales and even the Prince of Wales, those are not two individuals that are ever going to pick up the phone and stage a paparazzi shot. They have a system, they work with media, and if and when they are ready to, I believe we're going to see the Princess of Wales in a working capacity around Easter. She's going to come out, do the smiles and waves, and it's going to be, the same protocol that we've been used to over the last few years. But I'm glad that you've said that because I noticed that I look at tomorrow's papers today or whatever every night before I go to bed to see what's on the cover of UK papers, and it was all Kate's uncle, and I was surprised that I didn't see that photo. So thank you for telling me that that's because of UK's privacy laws. That's new information to me. But don't forget, TMZ is also the outlet that released the pictures of Prince Harry's crazy Vegas rump. And then there was the debate over in the UK as to whether or not to print those photos, and inevitably they decided to do that. TMZ, a lot of royal scoops, surprisingly, for a Hollywood gossip blog. When we first saw the affair rumors circulating between 2018 and 2019, Richard Kay, a personal friend of Princess Diana's and a journalist, observed that the rumors were an attempt to, quote, dent Kate's unshakable standing with the public. Initially, reports claimed a rift had opened up between Catherine and her Norfolk neighbor, Lady Rose Hanbury. One paper reported that the two women had had a terrible falling out. Another paper said that Kate wanted her rural rival phased out of their group of friends. Now, tongues were wagging. Lady Rose is a former model. Her husband's significantly older than she is. Prince William's father, famous for an affair that ended his marriage to the most popular woman in the world, Princess Diana. So while some of the papers didn't blatantly report an affair, it was the immediate assumption. Why else would two women be at war? Richard Kay insisted within a column in the Daily Mail that rumors of the falling out were false. As evidence, he pointed out that Lady Rose and Princess Catherine were patron and royal patron of the same children's hospice, and that the Duchess at the time utilized Rose's horse trails for activities with the children. Meanwhile, Rose's husband and Prince William were apparently shooting buddies, and, quote, both men were baffled by the rumors and insisted there is no rift between them or their wives. People within the know really felt like this was a campaign to hurt the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, who are now the Prince and Princess of Wales. Harry and Meghan were still very much in the fold, and there were rumors that Meghan leaked these stories to journalists to prove her point that the palace made an effort to protect Kate and not Meghan herself, which is an argument we saw Meghan make during her Oprah Winfrey interview. To piggyback off of that, or to almost give the Meghan Association some credibility, the cheating accusations first appeared in an American magazine, one that Meghan had voluntarily appeared in many times before, which is why Meghan was one of the main suspects of that rumor circulating. In fact, royal author Tom Bower claims Meghan knew In Touch magazine very well. She had been in the magazine several times when she was trying to be famous and had had drinks with several writers as she worked hard to be noticed. Before she married Harry, Meghan wanted to be in all the weekly magazines and worked with publicists to make that happen. Bower continued, Meghan knows how the system works better than anyone, which is why palace insiders blamed her for the leaks. Tom Bower, who wrote a book on Meghan and Harry called Revenge, also told Megyn Kelly one of the reasons that William was so furious with Meghan was that Meghan seized on a story that William was having an affair with a mutual friend of theirs. Bower claims allegedly Meghan raised that with Kate to needle her, so accused Meghan Markle of confronting Catherine about the affair. And that is part of the reason that Prince William was so incandescent with the Sussexes. Bower told Kelly Meghan seized on that to harm the woman that she was so jealous of. Now, all the way back in 2019, a family friend told the Daily Mail, this is a question of a lie going round the world before the truth has even had time to take its boots off. A whisper which had no basis or truth has turned into a roar. Why is this coming up again and now? Because Omid Scobie, who Meghan and Harry collaborated with on a book called Finding Freedom Through a Third Party, released another book called Endgame in November of last year. You'll probably remember that book garnered a lot of attention for accusing the Princess of Wales and King Charles of racism inside the Dutch version. Its sales were dismal and it put a serious dent in Omid's credibility, but in Endgame, Omid, who is known as Harry and Meghan's mouthpiece, resurrected the affair accusations. A November 2023 Entertainment Tonight article reads, an alleged affair between Prince William and a former bestie of wife Kate Middleton is picking up steam once again after royal expert, LOL, Omid Scobie brought up the subject in his new book, Endgame. The human Alan doll, because let's be honest, he's not a Ken, told Entertainment Tonight, for legal reasons, there are so many things that one can't go into. Nice try. But I thought it was really important, even if a rumor is a rumor, and I really don't see proof that there is more to this than just a tittle-tattle, you know? Thanks for stirring the pot, Scobie. And with so much mystery surrounding the Princess of Wales, after her planned abdominal surgery, if you're invested in the drama and can comfortably navigate the worst parts of the internet, it is effortless to stumble upon these affair digital debates. Robert Lacey, the author of Battle of Brothers and contributor to Netflix's The Crown, admitted that he spent months trying to confirm any affair rumors, but was unable to verify it. He interviewed Giles Coren. Coren set Twitter on fire about affair allegations, and Coren told Lacey he made it up for attention online. Coren even inevitably released a statement through a newspaper that said every time the story of Prince William's supposed affair with Rose comes around again in the American press, as it has again this week, the first source quoted is always a 2019 tweet from British royal reporter Giles Coren. So can I please just say that while it was far from being the worst thing I ever tweeted, I was joking. I know nothing about the royal family. I'd had a boozy lunch. Author Tina Brown hasn't been able to confirm the affair rumors, and neither has Tom Bower or Richard Kay. Kay reported that initially Rose and Catherine's families both laughed at the patently not true rumors, but as more and more people pass it on, it takes on a life of its own and has evolved into something hurtful and toxic. A family friend of Rose specifically said, It has now become very upsetting, and they are all concerned for each other, as they have never before had to start denying something for which there is no evidence or even a smidge of truth. It's just mad.
Let's start with reports from the Daily Mail this week. According to royal author Tom Quinn, the Prince and Princess of Wales have reached out to Harry and Meghan and urged them to bring their children. Now, they specifically say Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet to the UK to visit. However, it is believed that Meghan has put her foot down and refused. I am kind of puzzled by this, Rupert, because I would believe this story if it was pre-Spare, if it was pre-Netflix special, and if it was pre some really serious and devastating cancer diagnoses. But they specifically say Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, so it seems like this is a relatively recent development. Do you have a hot take on this?
I think the take is a degree of suspicion at the moment. I know that they somehow, I'm sure Prince William and Prince Harry would love to find a way of repairing the damage, but as you've just alluded to, the book, Netflix, Oprah have really scuppered it, and the lack of trust. But I'm sure from a family perspective, they would love the cousins to get together, which is very much part and parcel of the royal way that they are with the families do spend a lot of holidays together. But there are so many, it's such a sideshow. And as you alluded to, with the Princess of Wales now recovering from cancer, the last thing she needs to enter is into a royal soap opera with how the children get on, and Meghan coming in tow, presumably, to go to whether it be Amner Hall or somewhere in Windsor. We don't know where it would be. So it would just become a soap opera. And right now, that doesn't seem to me to be on the agenda for the Waleses. I think they've got one thing on their mind, which is, if you look at the Prince of Wales, he's got his father with cancer. He's got his wife with cancer. He's the new heir to the throne. He's got young children. I mean, he's got enough on his plate as well, just sort of dealing with it from his own perspective. That other sideshow of the bringing in the Sussexes would just, I think, not be a good thing. So I'm Tom Quinn, much respected royal correspondent, but at the same time, I think we have to, maybe they did offer it, but Meghan, I can see, couldn't determine it on her terms. And she does, as we've always seen, and Kinsey, wants to do things on her terms.
What Meghan wants, Meghan gets. Don't forget that classic line from Prince Harry around the wedding: when Meghan wants, Meghan gets. What I also think what's interesting about this story is, it kind of contradicts what we've heard over the last few months or almost years, that it's really Prince Harry and Meghan Markle that are in need of that reconciliation to salvage whatever reputation they have left here in the States. There is a real disdain for them, for people that admire and love the British royal family.
Yes, and everything we've seen is, they say they don't want to be part of the royal family. You just need to look at their website. Everything indicates that they're hanging on to their royal coattails. And that's, they don't want it. So, or Prince Harry says we don't want that, but without it, they've got nothing to sell. Because suddenly, if they don't have that royal connection, what are they? They're just another celebrity couple. And you in Tinseltown know that celebrities actually have to look as if they know what they're doing. They have to work hard at it more often than not to achieve whatever they want to achieve, whether it be acting or promoting something. To just say, well, I'm the Duchess of Sussex or I'm the Duke of Sussex, well, then I'm all right. Then you can support me. No, they need it. And that is the big problem for them. And it's the frustration for, I think, everyone over here. We can all see what's going on, yet they still, but people, are they buying it? Or is the royal family not being strong enough with them saying, right, stop this? But the king, I think, is in a difficult position. The last thing he wants to add to his stresses and strains is how to, control the Sussexes, because he's probably quite tired anyway, and that will just add to the stress and strain. So at the moment, the Sussexes have free rein in many ways to carry on as they are, using their royal connections.
Oh, I agree with you. And while this is a lovely thought, an idea of a reconciliation, It also completely contradicts all of the reports we heard about Prince Harry finding out along with us on television, receiving that generic news alert on his phone, or being interrupted during a sporting event on TV to learn that the Princess of Wales had cancer. If there is any sort of reconciliation, I feel like there would have been a private, a private conversation around that.
Because they don't trust them. That's why they have to control it. And the Prince and Princess of Wales, and quite rightly, they want to control the narrative on that. And they don't need someone in California being tipped off by the Sussexes, and next minute it is all over ahead of the game. I mean, we did get that Omid Scobie tweet saying, well, stand by your beds almost at 6 o'clock UK time when we got the announcement. But a lot of us had been made aware that there was going to be an announcement. But if they'd known, someone might have actually tipped the wink beforehand. And we don't need that. They want to control the narrative. And actually, that's why. And that does reflect the lack of trust between the brothers, because they know, and what has happened before, anything they've done suddenly has been turned around and is held against them.
And to your point, there was really aggressive media coming from California surrounding the Princess of Wales. TMZ basically hiding behind trees at Windsor to get pictures of the Princess of Wales in the car with her mother. TMZ getting and the Sun getting the shot of the Princess of Wales coming outside of the farmers market. So California paparazzi and that kind of just tabloidy California culture has already inserted itself too much in this storyline.
Yeah, and actually, when you think that Prince Harry is having a go at the British press, he's got to be more worried about the press over in your country, because they are, when they sniff something, they want to go after it. No, nothing's going to stop them. But, of course, the Sussexes would say, well, it's not against them. So almost is saying, well, we don't really care. So they may be washing their hands of that. But actually, they've got to, if they want to stop the press intruding on royal family, then it's just the American press is just as culpable. We all saw the pictures of the Princess of Wales in that car with her mother. It was out there, no, not published in this country, but it was easy enough to find. So actually, that is the problem. The American press at times, will go to great lengths to try and get snaps of the Princess of Wales. And that's why it's probably a good thing that they're secreted away in Amner Hall in Norfolk, where they can be kept away from the prying eyes of a long telephoto lens.
Kensington Palace recently posted thank you notes to members of the public who sent their best wishes to the Princess of Wales. Now, it's interesting because it's just a short note on a postcard that has the palace's letterhead that says, thank you for your kind well wishes to Her Royal Highness the Princess of Wales. Your thoughtful gesture is very much appreciated. But it didn't include a photo. Some people are obviously disappointed by that because, people collect these things. They send the palace Christmas cards, they collect the response, they frame them. Like, these become really important, pieces in their collection. Do you feel like everyone is being punished for the backlash on the Mother's Day card picture?
I think it's something much more prosaic than that, Kinsey. Over here, the price of postage stamps has rocketed. It costs a fortune to send a letter. I'm not kidding you. It costs like £1.35, I think, now for a first-class stamp. And the interest in Kate and the concern and the compassion and the guilt that people were feeling means that she will have been deluged with correspondence. And I actually think it's about cost cutting. If you send a shiny photograph on the back of your notelet, that hikes up the cost. And I believe that this is just about cutting corners. So long as people feel that their thoughts have been acknowledged, surely that's all that matters. And if Kate, on the one hand, is asking for privacy and then pumping out pictures of herself, that's a contradictory message. So to me, this wasn't particularly surprising, actually. And I would just go back to the cost of postage. Insanely expensive.
That's such a good point. Thank you so much for making that. And you're right. It would look completely contradictory for her to say, please leave me alone, and then send a glossy new photo that ends up blasted all over the internet.
Have you ever written to a palace? Have you ever written to a royal?
Yeah, I don't have I don't know where my response is, but I definitely kept my response. Yeah.
I didn't have a picture.
I think of the one that I received was the really cute photo of Catherine, William, and the children all in the tree.
So you did get a picture. I only have written to the late Queen. I wanted her to be in my book about veterans from World War II because she served in the ATS. And I didn't get a picture. Maybe that was standard from the late Queen. I don't know. I got a very lovely letter from her private secretary, and it was from Windsor Castle. It was during the pandemic. But no picture. And I don't think I felt in any way disappointed. I was pleased with the communication, with the quality of the envelope, etc. Being able to go, oh, look, I've got correspondence from the palace. I mean, it does kind of hardwire you back to being a child almost, doesn't it?
Oh, so I was so excited. I couldn't believe when I opened my mailbox and saw the return address. I thought this has got to be a joke. I mean, I do think I did a little dance. I was pretty excited. I got to see a few pages of it, and you found, without a doubt, my favorite subject in the entire world and created a beautiful book about it. So congratulations, Catherine, the Princess of Wales. It's coming out here in the States, August the 6th. I hope you're so proud of it because it's just a wonderful description of a fierce young woman who one day we look forward to seeing as queen.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried to give the bigger picture about Kate. A lot of people like to sort of grab at the headlines, and that's what happens with serialization. But really, it's when you read the book as a whole, it's talking about her as a whole and the person that she's become from, when she was a kid through to the current day. And we're talking about somebody that's had a pretty unremarkable background in terms of us, but in terms of the royal family, this is a woman that will play a pivotal role going forward. Her kids are all born princes and princesses. Her husband was born a prince. Her father-in-law was born destined to be the king. That she was a girl that went to work on a double-decker bus, and so, she's crucial to making sure that the monarchy stays in touch with the people that they serve. I mean, because she has been very much one of them. Her grandfather, let's face it, was a painter and decorator. There's a lot written about trying to beef that up, but that's what he was, and that's a great profession. So was my grandfather. So she's in touch with reality. That's the point.
I had no clue that she grew up, kind of culturally, she was in a blender, and how wonderful. Like as a child, learning Arabic. I mean, that had to have shaped how welcoming she is, how eager she is to learn, new things. What surprised you about her childhood?
Exactly that. I think what was great about my mum and dad is they were open to going to live somewhere else. So dad got offered a job in Jordan, which is a great country. I've been there myself. And they were able to live there and be part of that culture. So that one morning they'd be reading from the Bible, one morning they'd be listening in childish tales, about the Quran, and other about something else. So I think that was quite interesting. That's probably why she spent so much time focused on early learning, because in that first years between 1 and 5, you do pick up so much, and hers was, as you say, very culturally diverse and in a different country. And so therefore, I mean, to put it bluntly, all this talk of racism that came up later from Meghan Markle was utter baloney. This is a girl that's very diverse, comes from a very diverse education and diverse experience. So there's no way that would even enter her head. So that was all. I think as a kid to grow up in the way she did, it was fantastic.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you said that too. And you make that point in the book, how kind of ridiculous all of those accusations are. And I'm grateful for you. Of course, you're talking about some of these serializations and the headlines they're making. One of the big ones is the idea that Prince William has been asked to sign a waiver when it comes to flying in the helicopter with his family. You say not only did the Queen have an issue with this, but also King Charles. I do think that it's been kind of sensationalized. You say yourself within the book, after being diagnosed with cancer, King Charles, perhaps reminded of his own mortality, echoed his late mother's concerns. So basically, you're just saying King Charles is thinking about the future. He is focused on the future, and this is not necessarily a fist fight going on behind the scenes. He just wants Prince William to know the reality of maybe some safety concerns.
Well, I think by making him sign a waiver, what you're doing is focusing his mind by saying that you shouldn't really do it. And we'll wait and see if he continues to do it. I mean, I know the Queen raised the issue with him and was quite disappointed when he flew his whole entire family up to Norfolk on one occasion, because she said you have to think about the succession. Well, think about the succession. If something terrible did happen, and helicopter crashes have happened. I mean, we've seen so many very high-profile people that situations like that have happened, and the chances of survival for something like that are pretty slim, as we've seen with in the past. So the succession will be an issue, wouldn't it? It'll be Harry, that will be King Harry and Queen Meghan. So that's the reality of it. That is what would be in terms of the line of succession if everyone was to perish. So I don't think they're being over the top. They're just saying that the heir to the throne and the spare to the heir, the next one in line, shouldn't really travel, and that's him and Prince George. But of course, that makes it difficult when he wants to take him to, say, I don't know, going to watch the football, on an aeroplane together. I think that's not really the issue. The aeroplanes, it's the helicopter. And I think that the king was just conscious that if William is going to do it, then he has to then take full responsibility. So he feels that he has raised that issue in an appropriate way. I think it wasn't a direct confrontation with his father. I think it was one of the aides who approached with this waiver, and I think that sort of upset him a little bit. But yeah, it's bang on, yeah.
And it's protocol. I feel like they've always tried to separate the heir, and then like little Prince George, that just seems like something that has happened forever.
Makes common sense, really.
Yeah. So
I think the king's being correct in what he's saying, as was the late Queen. Yeah.
The one passage that I have been sharing like crazy, I sent it to my parents at 6 o'clock in the morning yesterday. I'm sure that they really appreciated waking up to that. And I'm like, just like, my face hurts from smiling about it. You have details about William and Catherine's wedding night. You write, as they stood grinning and holding hands in the middle of the room, the opening bars of the song, You're the One That I Want, suddenly boomed out. To their friends' delight, William and Catherine launched into the dance of the lead characters from the film Grease, mouthing the words and pointing at each other. And then you're just so sweet. You say, Prince William finally found the one that he wanted. I love that part. That was it painted such a fun image, visually stimulating image of these two, wild, carefree, loving a movie we all love, loving a song we all love. Do you have any other details from that night? And
well, I mean, I think that really sums up how much fun they were having. I mean,
yeah,
they were very young. They'd been together nearly pretty much a decade, actually, when they got married. But the point of it is they were able to be relaxed. And I think that in private they are just quite carefree people and let their hair down. And that night was a great night for that. And the lot that was surrounded by all their family and friends. And you can only wish William and Catherine the world of love and happiness, because I think that in the last, that moment, it reminds us of a time which was a little bit more carefree. They were further down the pecking order. The Queen was still around. It was a very different time. And what we've seen since in the last 3 or 4 years, a lot of weight and responsibility has been, on William. He was totally crestfallen when he found his dad had got cancer. Then he finds his wife is treated as well. He's had to face a lot of responsibilities. So it's nice to remember, I think, the carefree times that they had, and they did. They had a lot of special carefree times, and they were able to enjoy that period. Let's just hope, they're still able, as with the young family to raise, they still have time to spend with them as well, in terms of not being weighed down too much by responsibility until that moment comes when they're king and queen.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. That has been interrupted. They had a rhythm. We saw they were very protective of their family time. And that was, kind of interrupted over the last year because of illnesses. You blew my mind with the revelation that Catherine almost rejected the Princess of Wales title, Diana's title. You talk about the pressure you're under when you marry one of Diana's sons, and how you're constantly compared to Princess Diana, whether it's your wardrobe, whether it's the charities you pursue, the way you engage with children. And you say the Princess of Wales Catherine did not want to add another element to her day-to-day life that would force that comparison. Why do you think ultimately she did choose to take the
I think that when she was not really wanting it was when it was sort of 2016, 2017. I think at that time, you know, the weight of Diana, the ghost of Diana, if you like, you know, it would weigh heavily on the mind of Camilla. There's no way, even though she should have been the Princess of Wales, she was going to take that title. And the same with Catherine. I think she thought it's too much. You know, I mean, she's too big a character. But you know, I'd spell out right at the end of the book that there's only been about 10 or 11 Princesses of Wales, and that's if you include the Duchess of Cornwall, you know, Camilla, in the whole of British history. So, which seems strange considering it's the wife of the heir to the throne. You know, I think that when it came to it, and the transition had gone through with the king, and that actually went very, very smoothly compared to what I think a lot of people thought. I think then it was the speed of everything that happened. There was not much time to think about it. The king then made his son the Prince of Wales immediately. There was no delay. Remember when he was 10, 11 when he was made Prince of Wales, the king. So he wasn't always the Prince of Wales at birth. He was created that by the Queen. And so I think that what happened was that once that happened so quickly, then it was a fait accompli for Catherine. You will be the Princess of Wales. And I'm sure she would have probably been a bit nervous because the last person, you know, frankly, was the most famous and most photographed woman in the world. And her life, you know, ended tragically, and she's always a figure in people's hearts and memories. So it would have been a quite tough idea, but I think she thought, I have to do this to support my husband. It's the right thing. He is now the Prince of Wales. But I think initially, early on, I'm told that she was not very happy about the island. Not happy, conscious of the issues that could arise.
Absolutely. I cannot imagine that kind of pressure. I mean, every day she walks out of her house, she might be wearing polka dots, and some photographer finds 30 pictures of Diana wearing polka dots. And she's like, I just
Happens all the time.
just wanted to wear a cute outfit today. I had no idea. I do wonder behind the scenes if there was some resentment from Prince Harry when Catherine was given that title. Do you think that there might have been? I look at it, I
I
see
think
it.
there's an inevitability when he looks at it, but of course, and again, what it does is it pushes him further away in terms of being Diana's son. It's a bit like Prince Andrew, really, another way. You know, being the Queen's second son is a big thing. Being Diana's son is a big thing. But as you can then go further down the pecking order, it's now focused on William and his wife and their children, and there's more and more distance between these people and their closeness to the crown, and I think that then they become, you know, less important. Really, they're less relevant, and I think there's no doubt that Harry is becoming less relevant. He's constant whinging. He's whinging about the latest thing on the press, where he's whinging about everything. Is, you know, basically the press called his breakup with his family. Well, I don't think so. I mean, you know, there's a lot of things that caused the breakup with his family, not least his own decision to leave and his own decision to you know, to trash them and then to write stuff about them in his book. So I think that
trash them in the media. It's like, yeah, the media might have.
So I think it's all a bit silly. It's all a bit silly to say that somehow that they're to blame. But I think what he's become, I think what this cancer issues, both the king and Catherine has shown, is that, you know, the people can't be bothered with the drama, the noise around the Markles. I call them the Markles, between Harry and Meghan. But it's just too much bother. It's too much drama, and I think people have had enough of it.
We did get a glimpse of the Princess of Wales. She attended a church service alongside Prince William and Prince George on the Balmoral estate in Scotland on Sunday. She looked lovely. I love this fedora that she sometimes wears with the little feathers sticking out. She sat in the passenger seat while Prince William drove their Range Rover Defender SUV. King Charles and Queen Camilla also attended church that day with them. Now let's discuss, we talked a little bit about this last week. But as these new photos are circulating, one of the main points that journalists are making is that the princess really isn't expected to attend any more events this summer. We have heard both Catherine and the palace gently ask for some space as she navigates cancer, as she navigates chemotherapy and heals. I have heard rumblings of a possible Earthshot New York appearance. Do you think that maybe we might see this in video form? Might the Princess of Wales provide a video for the Earthshot Prize Innovation Summit in September?
Yes, because I mean, I would assume Prince William will definitely be wanting to be there because that's his big thing. But they would miss her presence, whether she feels up to traveling to America and the spotlight that will be on her. If you're going to go to somewhere like New York, you know, it's going to be pretty full on, and they're going to, you know, want everything will be analyzed, and it will be quite a glaring shot window. I think it becomes easier if, you know, we see more of her maybe in video format. Yes, we saw her being driven to church, very carefully controlled. One other notable takeaway, which you didn't mention, it appears William has taken off his holiday beard. Looking at the photographs. Well, after we'd seen him when he was congratulating the Team GB Olympic team, he definitely had a holiday beard, but that seemed to have come off. But we know that we see members of the royal family in these semi sort of public stroke private occasions, which a trip to church at Balmoral is always staged managed, and it can be easily done in the car. We're not actually seeing her walking. Presumably they can find a way to get her into the church discreetly and quietly, but she's with her family. And it shows that we talked about the fact that they were able to have fun at a theme park the other day. I certainly was told off that whatever that game we were talking about, I certainly learnt anyway that I got my facts wrong. I learned by the comments that I needed to get down with the kids a bit more. But anyway, that proves that they've been out and about. But we now know the summer holidays are coming to an end, not only obviously in America, but over here as well. The children will be going back to school in the not too distant future. It's how we manage, or how, well, not only Prince William manages his time going forward. You feel that the King is obviously went to Southport recently and offered his condolences to those bereaved families who'd been at a Taylor Swift party, and then he'd seen members of the family. The King has been out and about and wants to be out and about. William is obviously now going to have to look at his schedule, and once the children are back at school, he's got to feel how much can he be back out on the road again. It is, you know, every parent, you know, breathes often a huge sigh of relief when the summer holidays end, because there's only so much you can do with the screaming little darlings, and you can't wait for them to go back to school. So I would suggest we'll see quite a lot of William over the coming months, but it's how we manage the prince, or they manage the Princess Wales's reappearance to the public. We've seen her a few times, yes, going to Wimbledon, but she's very much on comfortable ground there. Seen her at the King's birthday parade, very much on, you know, that semi-public private occasion, able to be stage managed on the balcony, but very managed. One or two video appearances, but will we actually see her out and about making appearances? And I think that's going to be I think it's going to be not only she's got to feel physically well, but I also think because it will be a bit of a media frenzy, how they cope with it from her perspective, from a mental perspective. But I'm sure she will take comfort from the Wimbledon appearance, because, you know, there was a great deal of support and standing ovations and cheering when she was around. So I don't see that as a problem, but it's how she manages her diary going forward. So it might be, Kinsey, if we see more video recordings offering support, but there's going to have to come a time, and this is the difficult thing, if she doesn't go back out soon, there will be people asking, what is going on? And while the health of an individual is absolutely private, there is a balancing act for the royal family. How do they put out this sort of necessary information? Because the longer she doesn't come out, there's obviously going to be more people concerned and worried. that it's not what is going on here. And that is the balancing act for Kensington Palace and the Prince of Wales's and the Princess of Wales's team, is how do we manage it and make sure the public are brought along in a positive way rather than a sort of clamber for information because they feel they're being kept in the dark.
The Sunday Times reports that Catherine, the Princess of Wales, who is currently undergoing treatment for cancer, is planning to be seen out more as the year goes on. You will remember the princess saying, "There are good days and bad days," and the Times notes that still rings true. The princess and her team are planning upcoming public appearances on said good days. While there is no set date, Catherine could potentially join King Charles and the royal family for the National Service of Remembrance on November 10th. Plus, planning is already underway for Catherine's annual Together at Christmas Carol service at Westminster Abbey in December. Fingers crossed that the princess is able to make one of her favorite Christmas staples. I sobbed this morning when I opened my phone and saw this beautiful video of the Princess of Wales and her family. So it was so touching. It felt so intimate and unexpected. What was your first reaction? Were you touched when you first saw the video?
Yeah, well, I actually had to be on air when I saw it for the first time because we knew it came out and it was embargoed till 4:30 UK time. I was actually on air at the time, and then I saw it. And I obviously read the statement beforehand, so I know the gist of what she was going to talk about, but in essence saying her cancer treatment is over and how much she's appreciated the support of everybody, her family, and what it has meant over these last months. But actually, the video took me by surprise because they've gone for the slick number. But actually, at the heart of it, I mean, it's a well-produced number. There's a lot of soft focus stuff and running through fields, but at the heart of it with her husband and her 3 children, it's just a family trying to behave as normally as possible, and you clearly sense the closeness of that family. And it was touching at times. I didn't sob, but I was touched. I'm stiff upper lip British, as you know, Kinsey. So I took it all in my stride. But I was surprised because the royal family, as we know, is conservative by nature and not great with their public displays of affection. And this was out there. We know she's a very loving and hands-on mum, as much as she can be and has been able to be, and we know the way she wants her life to work around schooling. But actually it was more than that. There was much sort of the way William and Catherine interacted in the video, I thought was interesting, and bearing in mind that they would have given the final say what they would have allowed to be put out there. But, when you think of videos past, they're pretty, clinical, not clinical, but there's not that.
Yeah.
And so I have to say it was good. And it's definitely put the Princess and Princess of Wales on the front foot from a PR perspective. That's my initial reaction. Bearing in mind, you and I are talking about this no more than a couple of hours after it dropped. But I think initially the reaction seems to be one of very positive. There are obviously things that we can dissect from it. What does it mean going forward? And I think that's the important aspect. But what they've really done, Kinsey, and we've spoken about this on previous Airs and Spares, about once the children go back to school, what's it look like for the Prince and Princess of Wales? Well, we saw already the Prince of Wales out and about doing public duties and getting out there and with his homeless charity and various other things. With the Princess of Wales, we're not sure. Well, this is in a way of stopping the speculation. What's going on? She's put it out there now. So now we have something to work on of how the royal family or the Kensington Palace are going to manage her rehabilitation out there in the public.
What did you think when she said that she wants to be back at work like that? I thought that was very sweet when she said, I'm taking my time, but I want to see you. I want to be back at work. It just felt like a love letter to people, the people that wrote in and said, I'm praying for you. It just felt like, and it was so unnecessary and so kind. It just felt like they were giving us so much more than they had to. And I really appreciated that, because I didn't feel like she was treated the way she should have been leading up to this. You know, the Where's Kate hashtag, the TMZ hiding in the bushes outside of Windsor to snap that photo of her and her mother when she was supposed to be recovering from abdominal surgery. It just felt like they were giving us a little bit more than we honestly deserved.
Well, no, I think they're not naive and insusceptible to the support that they've had, because she is a popular figure. And like anybody who's trying to recover from cancer, you would be made of pretty nasty stuff if you wouldn't want to wish anybody well. And I think the general consensus is that she deserves it. We're not privy to what's been wrong with her, but it's definitely not been good. So, I mean, that's what we can, because it's taken so long. The King's been out and about pretty quickly after we knew that he'd been diagnosed, yet it's probably been easier to manage in his case, although he's somebody who doesn't like to sit still. And I'm sure for the Queen, it's been something of a nightmare. But we know, we've seen him this week at the Highland Games and all that, and out and about. But in the Wales's case, it's a different one to manage. And I think it's very good PR-wise that they have reflected on the fact that they've felt the love of lots of people, aside from just the love of the children and and her husband supporting her through this difficult time. And she does like and want to be a working royal as much as she can. But ultimately, I think this means, and the way this video has been framed, it's family first.
Yeah.
I will get out and about, and if you read the statement, as and when my recovery allows me, even though she's in a post-chemo or whatever treatment she's having phase. And we all know that cancer can bite you back quickly. You think you're in there, and then before you know it, you're back onto the treatment, on the treatment table. So it feels like it's not a straightforward recovery. Even in this post-treatment phase, things need to be managed. But I think the way they've got the PR initiative now is they've put it out there. It's obviously something that's been well thought of. That video wasn't just thrown together in a day. So what you're actually seeing is the PR people and the team have been working out how to rehabilitate her in the eyes of the public and what is going to be important for her. And the statement suggested that it's family first, i.e. her children, because this is obviously, their 3 children. It's been quite traumatic for them, I would have thought. When you're young children, you've got your mother facing cancer, because at their age, they're just suddenly beginning to realize that everything's not about Father Christmas and Disney.
Right. Yeah.
You see what I mean? So,
and it was, but to your point, wasn't it refreshing to see the children, not in that kind of, I don't know how to explain it. They have to be so prim and proper when we typically see them at Trooping the Color or at church on Christmas. They're usually very well behaved. They know that there are eyeballs on them, and little Louis is probably the outlier there. But I feel like we see Princess Charlotte telling the boys to put their hands down or to stop fidgeting, and this was just a kind of sweet moment where they were just loving on their parents and enjoying the company of their parents and each other and being silly. And while I know that this has been so traumatic for them, to see them in good spirits and to see that innocence and sweetness was really uplifting.
I think what it showed is, if you think through the summer holidays, there will be lots of families enjoying that same experience with their children. That's what going on summer holidays are about. It's having those special family memories. Now, they may have been gambling through the fields of Amner Hall in Norfolk, which, and all that, and they've got the scope. And let's put them, they're in a very privileged position. But at the heart of it, their behavior
was the same as what you'll see in many other people's summer holiday videos of family, young children, having a good time with their parents. And at the moment, just trying to forget it all. That moment in the film when I say is the camera rolling. Look, they're used to camera people around it, but it was a little cheeky, chappy cheek moment they were enjoying. And actually, from a children's point of view, I'm sure they're mightily relieved that their mother is in a position to actually do what she is doing, because none of us know what it was like in the early stages of her diagnosis and where her illness was going to take her. But we know she would have been in the most capable of hands, and her status has enabled that. But at the same time, you look at that video and say that is a family of 5 enjoying being together and maybe grateful that they've been dealt a good hand. And that's why in the message, the Princess of Wales refers to the fact that cancer, diagnosis of cancer affects us all and is not easy. It's a bolt out of the blue, and suddenly you've got your life turned on its head. If you think going into Christmas last year, well, after she'd done her Christmas Carol concert and everything, you see her at Christmas, you think, right, everything in the royal family seemed to be all going along swimmingly. But the beginning of this year, they had 2 bolts out of the blue that they had to deal with, which rocked the family to its core. And now they're having to regroup. And I think they've regrouped pretty well in terms of what they've done here. It's a good video. It's video for the modern age. And it shows that, William and Catherine have probably, their relationship may have been strengthened by what has gone through, because now they have something that anyone can, there's bringing together. Adversity concentrates the mind as to what you want out of your relationship. And what you see there is William wanting to be enjoying time with his family, and looks like he did. By the way, it was a cricket bat that he was using in the film, which you may not quite know what it was, Kinsey, but that's a cricket bat, something we play over here. It's the baseball, forget baseball. This is a proper sport. And he was obviously going to play a bit of beach cricket with his children.
That is so funny, because I did notice the cricket bat, but I agree that there was just so much love and affection between Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and Prince William that we are not necessarily privy to when you watch old videos of Queen Elizabeth, who we know was absolutely mad about Prince Philip. She was, that was her, like, from when she was a little girl, that was who she had her eyes set on. So we know she was madly in love with him, and they weren't really in a position to be as affectionate as Prince William and Catherine are. So it's really nice to kind of see that from the fairy tale perspective of it all.
Well, yeah, the fairy tale. Don't be completely. The Crown. The Queen's relationship with the Prince Philip. We know that it was. We
know it wasn't always that way. But
So, but at the heart, there was a great sense of loyalty to each other, even though there may, like a lot of marriages, had its rocky periods. In the 50s, it wasn't straightforward, and he was a man very much of his time. But the way this video is very much now of its time, that William has now been there for his wife and family, and you got that sense very definitely. And that's why, if this had happened, say, in the 50s, how would it have been managed then? We weren't in the situation.
I think they would have tried to keep it a secret from us.
Yeah, and we would have, because we didn't. Everything now is so instantaneous. It's like at 4:30 today in the UK, this was beamed around the world, and it probably on every news channel around. I don't know what it was like in America at 4:30, but I imagine I wouldn't say it was, the front page completely, but it would certainly have will get a mention, and the video will be being shown a lot around the world. But in the old days, they used to hold off the time of when they would announce the monarch's death to suit the time of the papers, because there wasn't this instant news time does create problems for everybody. The social media issues create problems from everyone. But ultimately, I think what the Kensington Palace and the Waleses have done here is a very good PR move. But actually, at the heart of it, it's saying family first, and then I'll do family first. And then in terms of what Catherine's going to do, is then I'll fit around that and my recovery.
There was a bit of a hiccup. I saw the video when it was uploaded to Instagram the first time, and it cut Catherine off. And I was still crying, even though it cut Catherine off prematurely, but I knew exactly what had happened, because Instagram is such a weird character. So if you try to upload a video as a reel, you are limited in how long that video can be. But if you upload the video as a post, I think it can be as long as 10 minutes that you can upload. Maybe that's TikTok, but you can upload video longer if you upload it as a post versus a reel. So I think whoever uploaded it the first time uploaded it as a reel. It was cut off. And so then they had to delete, even though there was like 6,000 comments in 4 minutes.
Well, you've lost me here, Kinsey. It's not just, I never quite know what's going on in the social media landscape. Reeling, posting, TikToking, Xing, goodness knows, it's a confusing landscape out there. But ultimately, this will have created a great deal of interest around the world because, they want to see her better because she is such an integral part. When she appeared at the King's birthday parade, when she appeared at Wimbledon, there was focus. When we saw her going to church in Scotland, there was focus on her. They've had to manage this. And the video came out after all that kerfuffle when she was seen in Windsor under probably more difficult circumstances. But at least now you see her looking much better than she did in that video that came out where she looked sort of pale and clearly, at that stage
suffering. Yeah.
So hopefully, we've talked about the fact they were having some family days out doing whatever that game was they were doing, and whatever. So I think we just have to look at it as a very positive development. But what it means of going forward, I'm sure we'll see as long as she feels up to it in cold November day, but at the remembrance service that we have at the Cenotaph and other functions, I'm sure she wants to get back out, but it will be controlled, and it will be her, I think, actually saying in this video, don't push me, it's family first. I'm going to get her back out there, but don't overstep. Just let me do it on my terms. I think that's the underlying message from the video.
Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, I was excited to hear that plans were already in place for Catherine's Together at Christmas carol service at Westminster Abbey in December. There was no, guarantee that she would be appearing there this year, but the Sunday Times reported that plans are underway. If it's one of her good days, she will attend. There was some questions on social media about whether or not the Sunday Times article that said she's preparing to come back to work kind of forced their hand to release this video. But I would argue, to your point, that this video is very glossy, highly produced, and was ready to go. So perhaps that's not the case. Perhaps this all what unfolded the way it was supposed to.
I think, that may be the Sunday Times article, maybe implying, sometimes a little nugget here, there, and probably just saying it's the kind. No, I think I even mentioned it, speculated it myself, that's the sort of thing that you could see her at on this program. So I'm not sure they've gone completely out on a limb there, because it is a state occasion, very similar to, the King's birthday parade, the royal family turn out to be part of the National Remembrance Day for our servicemen and women. So I think but it does show where we are going, and it might be the more state occasions, and the the more formal occasions. But I'm sure she dearly loved to get back out and being part of our early learning program, maybe being able to make a visit to a school, because that would be within what she wants. It's children first in her life now. And that's very much where she wants to be seen. I know she's put out a statement welcoming the new, I think, Chief Scout to the fold, or someone who's joining of that. And so I think there's work going on behind the scenes with some of the things that she's involved with. And hopefully she will feel well enough. Because I also think there's the mental side of it as well. When we talk about mental health and the royal family aware of it, there's a lot of pressure on her when she goes out. It's not just turning out and just shaking a few hands. Everybody is going to be saying, oh, she doesn't look quite right there, or she just said the wrong thing there, doesn't she look a bit tired? And you just think, back off. If she wants to be but unfortunately they won't back off, because the nature of the beast is. So that's some of the things she's got to deal with. But the main thing is, in this video, she looked happy because she was enjoying a summer holiday that maybe at the start of the year didn't look as if it was going to be enjoyed in the manner that it was.